underneath you, so just be aware she is just going to sneak underneath you here. She's probably going.
Oh, there she is.
She's not. She's going to jump up here.
Hi, Miss Scooter.
One, oh, you always make it. Okay, there she goes.
She's got
She's going to check you on out here. So Scooter is 16 years old, so this was my one exception to our young group of penguins. And she came to us about 3 or 4 months ago to breed with one of our males. I did get a chance to mention to one of the groups the SSP, or Species Survival Plan. It's like internet dating for animals. So every animal coming back, dating back to the very, very first group of penguins that came to the States in the early 1900s, they're all cataloged in here. So we know their genetics, we know who's related to who. We want to make sure brothers and sisters aren't breeding, things like that. So that is the whole point to this. And Scooter was matched up with one of our boys here. Now, these guys are semi-monogamous, which is kind of like people, is how I equate it. As long as the relationship is working, they will stay together. And working relationship for animals is, am I having babies? And did you come back and meet me when it was time for breeding season? So they don't stay together all the time. They will come together for the breeding season, everybody in one big giant colony, and then after they breed and the chicks are gone, everybody goes their separate ways, and then next time they come around and they all meet back up again. If mom and dad happen to meet up, great, they're going to keep on going. If not, they will find another willing customer.
They don't have the ability to look for.
They do. They'll call and they'll wait for a certain amount of time, but there is a window that they have to breed to have those babies, to lay those eggs, so that those babies are old enough to be able to kind of follow the change in the tides and the change in the water and everything else in the seasons. So there definitely is a time limit on how long they can wait. So now Scooter is very, very nice and calm. So I'm not sure which do we want to start.
Sure.
Want to start on this side. So if you've got a camera, Nancy can take
It's
that
recording.
for you. Oh, you're recording?
It's recording, but right there, just takes a picture. If you hit the camera button right there, yeah, it just takes a picture.
Alrighty, so I'll just turn around here so you kind of know where it goes. I'll talk about that noise in just a second there.
I'm going to be right between you two.
There you go. So the noise that she makes, that's an affectionate greeting.
Ladies, look up at me and smile.
Like a, hey, how's it going? You know, everything's good. They'll wiggle their head back and forth. It's kind of like a penguin kiss. They'll touch beaks to each other. So all of our penguins have been hatched and hand raised at some facility, wherever it was. So they're all raised the same way, and a lot of them are very affectionate towards people. It's great.
Even in the wild, are they pretty affectionate towards people?
No.
Oh, they're not.
They want to be away from people. So,
Sure.
kind of getting kind of back to the SSP real quick. The whole point behind the SSP is so that if we ever have to help and repopulate in the wild because they've gone to a point where they can't sustain themselves naturally, we can go ahead and do so with a healthy genetic population of penguins. We would not send our penguins over to Africa to be released. It would be their offspring. And most likely what would happen is if we had eggs, we would send the eggs over to an organization like Sandcob, where they would hatch them, hand raise them, and release them, because these guys, Sandcob, that's what they do. They are all about the wild aspect of it. They are raising penguins to go back into the wild. They want to be afraid of people. They need to be able to know how to hunt, things like that. If I raise a penguin here, I want it to be very comfortable around people, because I have to take it to the vet. I have to have an area where people can see them. I don't want them to be afraid every time they see people. So we raise a lot differently here. So that's why we would not raise to return to the wild.
Okay, ma'am, you want to touch the penguin? And
Yep,
you want to go ahead and take a picture?
I wanted to wait till I was asked.
Look at
There you
me.
go. Oh yeah, you're good.
Hi, love.
Look at me.
Big, yep, smile big. There you go, your picture with Scooter. So now you can take that back.
Picture with Scooter. Oh my goodness.
Alrighty.
You are
now
such
back her
a
up little. Do
sweetheart.
you folks have a camera or phone or anything like that you want a picture?
I'm good.
You want to touch her though, yeah?
I'll touch
you want
her,
to touch her?
yeah.
All right, I'll back her up a little bit towards you. There you go. So some of the noises they make are that little noise that you heard her making. That again is kind of like a, oh, hi, how are you? I'm so excited. They will also do something called braying. Think of a donkey. It's the exact same noise that a donkey
Really?
makes when they get really excited.
there?
Yes, if you heard
I
it.
was gonna ask.
Absolutely. It gets very loud, and they use that to call to each other. They use that to stake out a territory. So it could be a happy noise. It could be an upset noise. It's kind of like an all-around encompassing, this is what I do. But
like
in
a
fact,
cat
they're
bird.
known as the jackass
Beautiful.
penguin
Close,
because of
yeah.
that noise that they make. So if you go over to Africa and you ask them about the penguins, they call them jackass penguins over there just because of that noise that they make. Not because of attitude, it's because of the noise. And what she's doing right there is just preening. So again, a couple of our penguins preen a
Look
lot.
up at me.
They're like every feather's got to be in the exact right spot all the time. Scooter just happens to do that. That does let you know, though, that's something that we like to see.
Yeah.
That lets you know they're very comfortable. A bird will not preen if they're not comfortable, because look how vulnerable she is right there. Anybody
Yeah.
can just come up and grab her or do anything to her.
Yeah, her
She's
whole
very
neck's
comfortable
exposed.
Yeah.
Exactly.
with their surroundings and everything. So that is what we look for when we do these kinds of interactions. Are they comfortable enough to preen?
You missed a spot right here,
I know,
sweetie.
right?
Nice.
She's like, oh, she'll get it. Don't you worry. All right, Scooter, hang on. I gotta interrupt your preening for a second to just turn your. I know. Turn you around right there.
How adorable are
I know.
your
I gotta make sure
feet.
she's a big spot right there. There you go.
How long did it take you to train Scooter to come out and jump up and
She did that on her own.
really?
So I know we all kind of got shocked the very first time we brought her out here. We let them walk out and we kind of see what they're going to do. And some penguins don't jump up. Some penguins we put up there.
Okay, you two, look at me.
But she came out the very
Smile.
first time I ever opened that door, and she walked right over, boop, boop, up. She had never seen another penguin.
So she
do
was
it.
meant to do that.
It was
Trained
like she was
professional.
right? I like to say it's good training, but she had never seen it before. So
Can I touch your wing?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I wanted to do that, but I wasn't sure if I was allowed.
that
Yeah,
cool?
and Scooter's kind of the exception to every rule of my penguins. Like, normally I would not be standing this far away if you were touching a penguin because they do like to touch back.
Gotcha.
Not like I'm going to bite you because I don't want you to touch back, but they're like, hey, if you're scratching me, I get to scratch you, right? And they do that with their beak. And they do have a hook on the end of their beak used for catching fish. Scooter's beak's a little bit different. They do shape that any way they want. It's kind of like us filing our fingernails. It's made out of the same material. Once, from what I've been told, once penguins get a little bit older, they don't care as much how their beak looks. Maybe it's because they're not having to impress the boys anymore or something. I don't know what exactly it is. But she doesn't quite have that hook on the end of her beak. She doesn't need it. We hand feed them, So I mean, it's not like she really needs to have that there. But she decided, I guess that's the only thing she's going to file. She files that down. So yeah.
Well, you need to get it together because
16,
you're with
I
a
can do whatever I
3-year-old,
want.
man.
Oh man, let me tell you. And our 3-year-old is one of our ones that we raised from the egg, and he loves us. And our penguins get very jealous. Even our penguins that aren't so people friendly, they still get jealous if we're paying attention to another penguin and not to them. And Terk is. Yeah, he gets really jealous. And what we were noticing was that Scooter wanted attention, and so did he. And if we were in the room, he would go over and bite at her to get her to run away so he could get our attention. So we're gonna say it's gonna be interesting trying to pair them up, and we're gonna see how this works. We went ahead and we stopped the introductions for now the way we were doing it in the house, just because breeding season's over pretty much for the year. So now they would be going their separate ways anyway. So it's really not the best time to try to introduce them. What we'll try again is probably around November, December. That's when the breeding season would start up again. That's when we'll start again at night, bringing them in the house. They'll be in the stall side by side with a divider in between so they can see each other. And then hopefully by then, Terk will be 4. His hormones might have kicked up a little bit more. He'll be a little bit more interested in girls. And we are trying to wean ourselves off of Terk as much as we can, as much as we love.
That's hard,
love hanging out with him. We're trying to not be as lovey and everything with him because we want him to pair up better.
All right, everybody, do you have any last minute questions for Sarah before she takes Scooter away?
Can we keep her?
Yeah,
super cute, right?
Could we just spend the day here?
I know.
Yeah, I'll just sit here for the rest of the day.
I know, they were telling me they both had dogs named Scooter. So
Yeah.
yeah, we were talking about that already. So we wanted to make sure they got their pictures. But
She's a
Nancy's got
sweetheart.
some stuff for you here. I'm just going to take Scooter back inside.
Thank you,
And
Miss
I'll
Sarah.
be back. I'm sure I'll be back out before.
And then
Thank
we
you.
have some hand sanitizer once you
Little Miss
sticker.
Bye.
And then this is a little bit information about Sandcob. Go online.